Hey everybody, it's me. Um, oh, I just kinked my neck a little bit. Story of my life. So, um, I'm gonna just get down into the crux of what has been going on with me lately. I posted on my YouTube channel as well as Instagram, as well as other places, just kind of updating everybody of how my June has been this year. It's been crappy. I'm gonna say that much. Mainly work was a big contender due to a lot of stress, and I am not the best person when it comes to taking breaks. I really am not. I will get to that point of burnout where once my mental health starts to get on the decline, that is when it really um it starts to take a toll on everything else. Um, so let me just maybe recap June for you a little bit. So I have been working with a therapist for a couple of months now, and um, it's been a lot of things. It's kind of been into my background and into my history, and just um, a lot of things have happened throughout my life, and I'll spare you of that. But for those of you who know, you know, and for those of you who don't, uh, if you want to know, I I can tell you. Um, but I have been doing a lot of homework in trying to um, kind of get a grip on past, pretty much. And I find that when I'm in moments of stress, that's when it kind of really takes a turn mentally for me. And for the past couple of months, I've been having really unexplained meltdowns. And I know back in April, I was having issues with my back and I was having issues with my sciatica. And to this day, I am still having troubles with my sciatica. And a little update with that, it has been to where my right leg, um, because once my back started to feel better, and my back is fine now, like it's not hurting as much. It's a lot easier to move around and stuff like that. Um, I've been taking it easier with work. But I also am starting to discover that my right leg has been driving me crazy. And I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's probably a nerve issue if because like of course like the sciatic nerve is one of your longest nerves in your body, and when it gets affected by a certain thing, it's going to give you problems for life. And as much as I would love to go back to my doctor, and a lot of you are probably going to say, well, hey, you probably should go back to your doctor. My doctor is a drug pusher, and I don't necessarily like taking drugs if I absolutely don't have to. However, I've been on this anti-inflammatory since April, and yes, it deals with the back pain, and the muscle relaxers do work with helping me sleep in the evenings. But I'm going through my day, and I will be walking around the house and I have no shoes on, no socks, or just my slippers. And as I'm walking around, my right leg and my right foot will just be tingling and sort of slightly going numb. It comes and it goes. So I'm like, and I'm starting to wonder, like, if I need to do some stretches for it, if I need to, do reflexology. And like, I'm trying not to overthink it because I am the worst overthinker. And then I kind of start, like, not WebMDing it, but I kind of start to, um, fixate myself on it. And then I'm kind of just trying to think, well, if I don't think about it, then if I ignore it, then maybe it'll go away, which isn't, the best course of action to do. Um, but I'm just kind of waiting around and seeing if once I'm off of the well, if I'm ever off of the anti-inflammatories and if I'm ever off of the muscle relaxer, that uh what my next course of action might be for that. So that's what I've been currently been dealing with, and it hasn't really, kind of made my work any harder. It's just made it a little bit of an annoyance because sometimes I will just be standing and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, my foot it's got that tingling sensation and it's got that tickle in the foot. And like, I've checked my nerves, like I've done a nerve test and there really hasn't been any decline with my nerves. Like, I can still feel everything. Um but there is a doctor that I have seen through YouTube, and of course, that might not be the best way, but he specializes in sciatic and back issues and nerve pains and stuff like that. And he says you could just be losing a lot of the nerve sensation in your foot as gradually as it seems, because if you work your feet a lot, it it, eventually you just have a little bit of nerve loss, and it's not to where it's something that's like medically alarming, but it is concerning. But as far as I'm concerned, it's been, and I know that I was on the list for an MRI, and I was like, well, I've still been waiting for them to call me, and then of course the time when they do call me, I I didn't have my phone with me and I didn't answer the phone call, so I was like, oh shit. So then, and um I couldn't go back in my phone calls and call them back. And so I was like, oh shit. So then I'm still probably waiting for them to call me back. And that's uh, I don't know when that's going to be. It could be another 2 months because they said I got the call back and I think it was like early May, and it had taken until at least June for them to call me back. So I was like, well, if it is what it is, it is what it is. And like, I'm just afraid to go for that MRI and then for it to be non conclusive, like for them to find nothing. So that's like that's another thing that's kind of been not been keeping me up at night. But I'm gonna go back to the meltdowns here real quick in June. Um, so as far as I can tell, and as far as I have been told by professionals and also by myself, that I do have anxiety as well as depression. And probably at the start of June, I was having really bad meltdowns. And of course, I think a lot of it was from burnout. Like, I had just been burning the candle at both ends, burning the midnight oil. I wasn't sleeping, I wasn't eating, I was drinking copious amounts of coffee, just to get through the day, through the tiredness and through everything. And um, then everything was coming to a head. And of course, temperature changes in the workplace were not good. And then I was like, well, my birthday's coming up. Maybe things will, start to get better around my birthday. Well, they did not. I had had a very personal issue with, I guess it could be a work related issue with a family member, and it just made me feel the worst that I had ever felt in a professional setting. And of course, it was two wrongs don't make a right. I mean, I was on the verge of burnout, and of course, it was just kind of like my patience and my tolerance scale was just at its peak. And then sure enough, it was just going to go, you know. And I apologize for the light changes because we've been having rain off and on here, so it's kind of bright and then it's dark and then it's bright and then it's dark. Um, but yeah, and once that happened, I was stuck. I had started to swirl into the maelstrom, swirl into um this whole part of depression that where ideation came into play, and I was very stuck. I was very stuck. And I was just thinking, I'm like, well, what is the point of me doing this anymore? Because it just seems for like the past couple of weeks or the past couple of months, nothing I'm doing is right. I'm not keeping caught up with anything. My performance has gone down so low, and to where I was considering that I'm like, well, you know what? Why don't I just quit? But of course, quitting was not necessarily an option for me because I need this job, and B, I need the money, and uh, I just needed a source of income. So then after that, my boss, and she is a great manager, and she manages the best that she possibly can with all of the stuff that she has on her plate is incredible. Um, and so she called me into her office and she said, "Hey," she's like, coming down from this particular day, how are you doing?" And I said, "Not good." And we started talking, and I told her everything, and it broke down in her office. And I just said, I was like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this is pain brain, if this is because of like menstrual cycle, if this is, just my cortisol levels, like I have no idea. Um, and so, she said, like you can come to me at any time and tell me that there's something wrong because I want you to take care of yourself because I'm afraid that you're going to hit that wall and where you're going to be mentally scarred, and then I will not be able to recover. Like I may hit my breaking point and then I may not be able to recover from said emotional breakage. And as much as I said, like, yes, I know, and I know that I have to take care of myself. Um, so she gave me a lot of resources. She said, maybe you need to have one-on-one counseling with like an actual sit down in the office one-on-one session. And so I did do the research, and I wrote it down. And there is a clinic that is just like 5 minutes away from me. And so I haven't really put it into stone yet of when I'm going to go and see this particular person. But also, I've been trying to be more consistent with journaling in the morning and then after my shift just to try to clear the fuzz, you know what I mean? And there's some times where I'm too tired to do so, but I'm still making it known that it's like, okay, hey, you don't have to do, the full hour. You can just sit back and do maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Even if it's just a sentence, even if it's just a paragraph, you can just do that. So I've been trying to do that. Um, Also, sometimes I will just do this type of thing. I'll just, hook up my camera or I'll hook up my voice recorder and I'll just go off for, however long I need to and then save it and then, go on with my day. Um, but I've also been trying to um kind of look more into mindfulness things. And then I got into thinking, I was like, you know what? I just needed a couple days off. So I asked my boss for 2 days off, a Thursday and a Friday, made it into a long weekend, and that was when I put the plan into play. I did what I wanted to do. I got the chores done that I had been neglecting, cleaned up this room because it did not look as nice as it was before. Um, it was an absolute shit show. And I will say that, in all honesty, it was an absolute shit show. I had clothes everywhere. I had my sheets. I had blankets just piled to the nines, dirty dishes, and of course, like out where I live, we were under a boiled water advisory, so that didn't help anything at all. I won't get into that, but that was another factor. It's over now, thankfully, so I don't have to bathe in contaminated sewage. Um, but yeah, like that was another thing, and I just really had to kind of take a step back and really. I might have to close my window here. I mean, that's fine. But yeah, like I really just had to take a step back and really think about what I wanted to do. And like, as far as creative endeavor went, I had ideas and I was like ready to film it. And then once I started having those meltdowns and like once the stress just got really heavy, um, like I would be going through my days with my shoulders up here. And then I was like, well, this isn't good, having my shoulders be all the way up here. So I had to kind of like eventually eventually like I had to almost like force them down because there was just so much stress and so much tension happening. But also I kind of cut down on the coffee. I didn't have a lot of caffeine to get me through the day. And then I was like, okay, I'm like, well, if I do one thing, then that's going to be good. So I cleaned the room. Done. Then I spent the rest of the day just chilling either here or chilling in my bed. Okay, I'm going to have to close this window. Hang on a tick. Um, but yeah, I just kind of really had to um sorry, I got to get myself into a good position here. So yeah, I really just had to kind of take it easy on all fronts. And I use like do not disturb is my best friend. Like any sort of device that I have, I put it on do not disturb, whether if I'm working on a video or whether I'm working on um just kind of the deeper work for myself, I will try to do that. And I didn't think that I was going to be the person to get onto the Apple Watch train. I really tried to stay away from it as long as I could, but do do do. Oh god, this is not. There it is. um, but yeah, I've been using the mindfulness app and I have it like right on my home screen. So then if I'm just feeling like I need a moment to breathe, it's good that I can just take, like a minute and just breathe for that minute. And like, yeah, I can also reflect on how I'm feeling throughout the day and whatnot. And I also discovered the wonderful wonders of cold water. So I have been finding that I have been getting very overheated at work because when I'm running and I'm working and I'm doing all this and I get extremely overheated very quickly. So I will just go to the sink that's in the laundry room and I will run cold water and I will run it over my wrists and I will run it over like I will have a cloth with me and I will just soak it in cold water, take my glasses off, run it over my head, my neck, my pulse points, all of that. And I will be good. And but then eventually like with my hair, I um I'll have to put it up because the sweat just gathers at the back of my neck and then it just makes me feel awful. So I'm like, well, in order for me to um I made a movement goal. Woohoo. Um But like in order for me to get anything done, I have to have my hair off of my neck and, kind of off of this area because I need more um I just need coolness. But I also have in my bag, this is always so weird to do. There we go. Um, in my bag, I also have a neck fan that I can put on, and I can just turn that on. And I think it has like 8 speeds, and I can just sit there and just cool off and just take it easy. And so far, that has been working. That has been my go-to, just to cool down throughout the day and just to take a minute to breathe. But also, another thing that has been working is peppermint oil. I have a little vial, val, vial of peppermint oil that if I feel like I'm starting to kind of get a little anxious or if I'm starting to get a little bit like kind of in worry territory, um, I have started to go out on my breaks and I will just sniff. Or I will take some of it, put it on my pulse points, on my neck, on my temples, the back of my neck. It's also good for headaches too. If you have bad headaches and you're not allergic to peppermint oil, I highly recommend it. It's great. A lot of people also go for lavender oil too. Depending on the lavender oil, I try to make it to where it's 100% uh, essential because some of them, ugh, they just they just don't do it for me. They just don't smell good to me. They don't smell to me like what lavender should smell like. Um, but yeah, so I've been using those too. And yeah, like and also like I've been kind of saying to my boss, I'm like, well, hey, I'm like, do you think that we could have like a code phrase or something? And she's like, well, yeah, that might work. So, it's like, sometimes, just come in and say it. And then it'll kind of distract me from like irrational thought. So like if I'm getting stuck in my head and she says that phrase, I'll be like, "What?" And then like everything else that'll be in my head will just be gone. So, um sometimes I get distracted, but I need distraction from other distractions. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just one of those things. So as far as I can tell, I have been dealing with stuff. I have been dealing with stuff in June. Um, I didn't do anything. Rest assured, I did not take part in any sort of thing to where I was harming myself in any sort of way, to where I was, looking towards substances or anything like that. I was not doing that. The only thing that I've been having is coffee. That's it. Um, but I prioritized sleep. I prioritized drinking water. I prioritized eating a little bit better, um, meditating, journaling, um, talking with my therapist, talking with good friends. Um, you know, just sometimes that's just what I need, you know. But I had never felt this low in a very long time. Like actually like I felt low but never to where it was like, do I need to call the crisis hotline? Because that tsunami was just holding me. And I did a little bit more research into complex PTSD because not only do I have PTSD, but I also have complex PTSD. And there are differences between the two of them. I won't really get into it, but there are differences. But your hippocampus shrinks, your amygdala, it, like, what did I see in my notes? Because, like, your amygdala is like the smoke alarm of your brain. And when you're kind of not exposed to threats all the time, your amygdala just sends those messages to your brain saying that it's like this is unsafe, even though you could be in the safest environment possible. You get those smoke alarms that are just like, hey, um, something isn't safe here. And then, of course, when you're in that fight or flight mode, your anxiety level goes up and your cortisol gets released. And then like your prefrontal cortex, it shrinks. And then rational thinking, it just becomes like a broader, what did I say? Like rational thinking is harder, and you have like a broader nervous system. So then it's like anybody with like a kind of like a normal nervous system, a lot of this stuff that would be affecting me would not affect them on the high of a scale that it does. And you have a lot of adrenal drainage. So a lot of people that have adrenaline, it'll shoot when it comes to like scary experiences. But for somebody like myself, my uh, adrenaline spikes quickly. And then like that's when the meltdowns happen because I get so focused in my head and my anxiety is so high. And then when things kind of get me a little bit upset, it's just like not like Roman candle per se, but I just get so out of control that I can't calm down. And like I would need to have somebody, not that anybody has ever put physical hands on me at all, but sometimes just to bring me out of it, it's like just put your hands on me and shake me. Like just bring me out of it, whether it be physically, whether it be, shouting my name just to bring me out of it. And uh, it has affected my career and the guilt of very pardon me, um, the guilt of being very unprofessional in a professional setting. It has affected my colleagues, it has affected my residents, and one of the sweetest men that I absolutely love to pieces, he said to me when I was in the bouts of it, he says, he's like, yeah, you don't seem happy. And he immediately thought that it was something he did. And this is coming from a 99-year-old dude. And that was when, like, I had felt so guilty. I'm trying not to get emotional here. Pardon me. Um, but when a 99-year-old person can tell that something's wrong with you, it's like my poker face is so readable. And he was like, was it something that I did? And I said, absolutely not. It could never, ever, it could never, ever be my residence. It can be families that can piss me off. And I guarantee you, there have been families that have pissed me off. There have been families that, upon meeting them, that I have made a spectacle of myself and I will forever have a judgment based on me because of whatever. And, I try not to judge people. I really do. But sometimes given their behavior, it's a lot easy to judge them based on their behavior and how they treat me because respect goes both ways, right? If I can respect you, you can respect me, but there also has to be that middle ground of how are we going to go about respecting each other. And in this instance, any sort of respect that I had, right out the window. And for them, any type of respect that they had for me, out the window. So, and, it happens. Shit happens. But it was one of those situations where I was tired and physically, emotionally, mentally. And I always do that. I always try to go through my day and just power drive right through it. And I always end up hitting that wall. And then once I do hit that wall, it's just, that's it. Um, but I'm better. I'm doing better now. I'm adding things to my toolkit every day that I possibly can. Um, even if it's little things. Even if it's like, okay, I'm tired, I'm gonna take a nap. Or hey, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go eat something. Or hey, I'm thirsty, I'm gonna make myself water. Um, yeah. Or it's like, did I take my vitamins today? Probably not, but I'll probably have to take them. Or, I mean, sometimes you just have to pull up a guided meditation and or either sit in silence. Um, I noticed for me, um, the less electronics that I was connected to and that I was on, the better. Um, and I closed myself off from the world. I closed my I took that chip of insulation because we use it for the summertime when it gets hot. Put it into my window, closed the blinds, made this room entirely dark as it possibly could, kept all the lights off and just sat in the dark because I just didn't feel like I was deserving of light. I didn't feel like I was deserving of anything. Um, you know, and I can't necessarily talk to my family about this because they came from a different time where mental health was not spoken about. Even though I think if I was to mention it to them, I would have their full blown support. But I just don't want to have that conversation because I don't want to sit down and then have that conversation and then have it be something much bigger than it needs to be, you know? So I try to really kind of monitor what I'm going through. And when it gets bad, message my therapist, call my therapist, journal it out, talk to friends, or just have a moment for myself. Just let myself sit in it. And sometimes, you kind of realize, hey, eventually it's going to blow over. I just don't know when. Eventually it's going to blow over. And I didn't think that this year was going to be this way. I really had tried not to because I knew that the same thing was happening in 2025. But I think now I'm starting to kind of realize that it's like, hey, I really need to work on things and not just YouTube content, just things. And originally I was going to do this video as a live stream, but I didn't want to put that on people without announcing it first thing. Um, so I decided to sit down and record it for y'all. So you can watch this whenever you want to. But yeah, I think that's it. That's basically just where I've been at. Um, my workflow has improved a fair bit. Um, that too. I had to relook at how I was doing my work and how my time management was because my time management is so poor at work. So poor. Um, and but yeah, I'm doing okay. And doing okay is better than not being okay at all. But I will admit right here and now that it probably will happen again. Don't know when, don't know where, don't know how, but if in any sort of case, if all of a sudden you see me very consistent with content and then all of a sudden I just drop off, I will try to let you know, but also at the same time, I'm probably just going to be going through something and I just don't want you guys to worry. Um, but yeah, just going through life and it's life. So I haven't had any dire emergencies come up, thank goodness. I mean, the family's doing well. Um, it's just been this mental issue that I've been trying to deal with. And it's still a dragon that is very hard to slay. So, one day at a time, one step at a time, one nap at a time. So, I'll probably talk more about this maybe in the live chat coming up next month. I'm gonna schedule that at some point. Um, so keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys soon. Love you. See you.